Appalachian isn't really used around here. It's more of how other people say it. Rural really isn't used either. Mostly we're from eastern Kentucky.
Around here, most people are rednecks compared to somebody from the city.
People call us hicks, rednecks, hillbillies. That's more of the words that we get instead of the more pleasant terms.
If you speak with a strong southern accent, that tends to be a title thrown at you, or having lots of spare cars sitting around your yard, things like that.
We all are barefoot and are unintelligent and marry our family and live up in the head of hollers, which that part is true.
A holler is a little road up there. Usually people settle near the creeks because that's where the flattest part of the land is to build a house on. So the holler is just a little road up into the mountains. 2 lanes if you're lucky. Paved if you're lucky.
The mountains are what makes our community what it is. It makes us who we are.
It's really easy to romanticize it with a Mayberry-esque quality.
Oh, I've tried to get her to move. She said, I ain't going nowhere to get blown away with a hurricane or a tornado.
I mean, I can walk out my door and up on the hill and be among the trees and the turkey and whatever I might find up there.
That was our playground, is in the hills and the mountains here.
And anything you need, people are there.
There are a lot of small towns in eastern Kentucky that have 1,000 to 5,000 people in them, and they are close knit, and people are interested in each other's lives and business. And you experience that as a teenager a little bit, like you can't get away with anything because you're literally, I did something at school one day and I went home for lunch and my mother had already heard.
Rural kids coming from more isolated or more rural environments in which the family and the local church and maybe this local school is like their major social institutions, in which everybody knows everybody or knows of everybody or can connect everybody one way or the other. Coming to a metropolitan place has always been a big challenge.
I have met a lot of those students who are first-generation college students, and there are a lot of obstacles for them to overcome because their parents, their grandparents don't understand, like, why are you going to college for? What do you need that for? And it's still that mindset that you can just go straight and work. You can maybe live off the check, as many in Eastern Kentucky do.
I think we fool ourselves if we think that everybody in the world goes to college because for learning for its own sake or because they value education and knowledge. That's part of it.
In a lot of the coal mining regions of Eastern Kentucky, it's young men would go, if there was work in the mines, young men would go to work in the mines because it would be helpful for, it was still a family economy in lots of households. But if the choice is, stay in school for a couple more years or go, work for, whatever the wages in the mines, or to leave the community, well, going to work in the mines is not a bad choice in the eyes of a lot of folks, back before the mines were mechanized. I think if you went 40 years back to you pick a county in Kentucky and you go to whoever is advising high school students on their futures, you probably would find, a lot of, job training books and, electrical manuals, and they'd be talking about futures being regional or local. And if you go now to a high school guidance counselor, what you see is 100 college catalogs. And the purpose of the basic interest of most of those high schools, the counselor is trying to tell you where you can go to college and how you can pay for it. And that's one of their primary functions. And you would never have had that conversation. Well, rarely would have had that conversation in rural Kentucky high schools in 1950, 1940, maybe even 1960.
I've gone to some of these counties that I had never been to before, and they don't expect to go to college even. And the teachers, the counselors, they don't expect some of the students, and they've already been, profiled from day one that more attention will be given to these students per se rather than these students. And I was in a classroom not long ago where it was like, well, I'm only going to let you talk to these 20 students because they're probably all that are college bound. And you sit there thinking, 20 students out of 140. How are we failing? If 20 are only college bound and the rest of them are just, and the college bound, not even UK, that could be a community college, that can be a technical school, it can be anything, but she's saying 20 could only do that, and the rest of them would go just into the jobs.
You go to a high school in Lexington and you ask to paint a picture about the structure of higher education opportunities, they'll start talking about MIT, and they'll start talking about University of California. You go to Lewis County and they'll start talking about Maysville, Technical College, or University of Ohio at right across the river, or maybe we'll get really bold and we'll go all the way to Lexington, which is like an hour and a half away. That's a big step.
Frost itself as actually doth burn in reason's
Oh,
ponders.
Hamlet, speak no more. Thou turnest mine eyes into my very soul, and there I see such black and green spots as will not leave their taint.
Nay, but to live in the rank, sweated and seamed bed, stewed in corruption, hunting and making love over our
Oh,
nasty...
speak to me no more! These words like daggers enter into my ears. No more.
A vice of kings, a cut purse of the rule in the empire, the form itself of oppressive deedom did steal and put in his pocket.
No more! I was in band. I played tenor sax for 5 years, but I had to drop out this year to take a required class. I'm in ceramics. I was in the drama club for a school play. I started in ROTC only to get out of world geography as a freshman, and because it counts as the credit, but Chief Catlett talked me into joining the drill team, and we practiced our first period, and we were getting ready to go to our first nationals, and the commander decided he didn't want to go. So Chief, I had already learned the routine, so he let me be the commander for that, and I fell in love with it and have been in it ever since.
It really surprised me she done as good, as what she did in ROTC. But it's something to watch the kids, to see if they can stand face to face with these drill sergeants, if they get kind of freaked out or whatever. I know the first time they went to up Washington, they took and the boy that was supposed to be calling the commands didn't go. He just backed out at the last minute and didn't go. So here she is in front of hundreds of people having to call commands her first time. And at one of the drill meets they had at East Ridge, one of the drill sergeants told her chief, said that she had ice water in her veins, and that was a compliment.
I hadn't applied to many places, just the people that pretty much came here, and everyone told me that I couldn't get into UK, and at the last minute I was like, well, I'm gonna apply just to prove to you that I can get in. And so I put in the application, and I never expected to get anything back because I kept waiting and waiting, and all these other colleges were sending me papers, and then I got a little paper in the mail. My mom had opened it already and had it sitting on my bed and was all excited for me.
Well, neither one of us has, went to college. Myself, I, never really even thought about it, and not much opportunity because, I've got 7 brothers and sisters myself. And it was hard, making it from day to day. And nowadays, if the kids want to do anything or, be anything, they have to have a college education. And I always told them, do good in school, go to college, get you a good job, career or whatever.
They didn't go to college, and that means limited jobs for them, lower wages for the harder work that some of them have to do. And so it really wanted me, and they wanted it for me, to get a little more, get a little that they couldn't have. They've always tried to help me with that. Try to do everything they can to help my sister and I accomplish something that they never could have had the opportunity for. So it's really helped me a lot to want to go to college and get a career.
She's got to do what she has to do, you know. Nowadays, to make a living, you have to have a college education, so that's what she wants, so.
It'll be a lot different, definitely, and it'll take a little getting used to the busier streets and busier life and quick-paced, the whole campus experience, meeting new people, because here everyone's pretty much 99% Christianity and white in this school. And I just want to go and meet new people from different cultures and different areas and to see what they think and feel and their opinions, not just the same opinion that seems to be here. The college experience, I think, will change a lot of my opinions, and just maybe the things that I appreciate, I may not appreciate them as much then. After I'm around a little bit more of it, I may want to come back to the quiet little house up in the hills.
We were ranked in the Lexington Herald as the bottom 10 schools in one of the bottom 10 schools in the state. And if you were to walk down our hallway one day at break, you would believe it. Because there are a lot of kids that are just there to go to the mines. They don't want to do anything else. They don't want to listen or even think about doing anything else.
There is a good education to be had at Sheldon Clark High School. And Katie and all those top-notch kids are an example of that.
I love to learn, I don't know. I feel like the days that we go to school and we don't do anything but watch movies, like right now what we're doing, it kills me. I feel like I could be doing something better with my time. So I want to open my mind to new things.
Some people say, oh, well, that's because you all are teachers. That's why Katie's so smart. That's why she does so well in school, is because you're a teacher. But I don't think it really has a whole lot to do with it. We have always expected her to do her work, and we always expected her to complete her assignments. And then she has always been
self-motivated.
Yeah. We never had to make her do her work. We never had to punish her because of grades.
And ever since I was little, they'd be like, no, you've got to get good grades or you're not going to get into college. And I was in 4th grade thinking if I got a C in a class that they wouldn't accept me into any college. And there were times that my mom made me cry because she was trying to get my homework. She would be trying to help me with my homework and I wouldn't get it. And I'd just cry because I wouldn't think I was getting into college.
I think sometimes people don't think they will perform as well because they're from here. But a good ACT score doesn't ask what part of the state you live in or what school you went to high school with. It's a good score, and that is the basis. I think sometimes people, oh, well, yes, you might have taken AP chemistry, but that was at Sheldon Clark High School. That's not as good as my AP chemistry.
My best friend at Governor Scholars was from Pike County. And whenever you would meet new people, you go and you introduce yourself and everything, where are you from? And she's like, well, I'm from Pikeville. And these city kids would kind of laugh, and they were like, what did you say? And she's like, I'm from Pikeville. And they're like, don't you mean Pikeville? And one day I just got so mad, and I was like, well, where are you from? And they go, Louisville. And I was like, so you're making fun of her for saying Pikeville, so shouldn't it be Louisville? And they're like, well, no, that's not right. I was like, well, shut up. And so I think I'll be able to hold my own against city kids that make fun of your accent.
It's very special when students, especially ones that we really believe in, not that that we really hold the highest regard for, choose the University of Kentucky for their college. They're going to have a great time, and they're going to learn, man. They're gonna learn.
Our chief export is always said to be coal, but actually I think it's people. We have raised many lawyers, doctors, pharmacists, veterinarians. Just very few of them come back home.
You didn't go to school to come home. You know, you went to school and you stayed at school and you came home for a visit. And I think some parents who have never had that experience don't understand, and even when their child does go away to school, they don't understand that that's their life now. They think their life is still at home with them when it's not. Their life is now at whatever university that they choose. And we know that. We've done that. And I think that's one of the differences. And so some of the parents they want to keep pulling them back to the old life and not let them live this new life that they have.
His mind is just amazing. It's different. He thinks differently from most of the other kids, and I think that sets him apart. He's always the one, and that's what you want. You want kids to say, why? Well, tell me why. I would show him one way to work a problem or one way to think about an issue, and he would go, well, could I do it this way? And we'd sit down and we'd think about it and we'd work it out, and well, yeah, that'd work too. So I loved the way that his mind would diverge from the norm. Most of the kids, if I work a problem on energy, they work it exactly the way I do, you know, every single time. Where Josh would go, no, let's do it this way. And it would work out.
I'm very proud of the young man that Josh has become. There's so many parents that talk to and tell you that their children getting out and being drunk and doing all this sort of thing, and I have yet to worry about that with Josh. He may do it tomorrow, okay? I'm not saying he won't do it. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that I feel like that he has got his head on straight, and he kind of knows, and he stands up for what he believes in. He really does. If everybody else says, I believe this way, and he strongly feels that it's this way, he will prove to you that this is why he feels this way, and he's really strong on that. He can take care of himself, but he just don't ever have to, you know, because he does have a black belt in karate. I don't know if he told you that. Whatever he chooses to do, I feel like that he will put God in the midst of that, because I feel he's really strong about that. He's really strong about what. I mean, he won't even eat a Pop-Tart for breakfast without having prayer over it, and that means a lot, you know. And so because he's really dedicated to the Lord. I feel like he could accomplish about anything that he wanted to accomplish. He has always been one to think outside the box. He's always been one he's not afraid to question and ask why, you know, and he'll look for answers. He'll research and find why that it's that way until he gets it, until he's satisfied, you know.
Well, it's kind of been sort of a running joke with me and several of my friends that I have multiple personalities. And there's a happy-go-lucky moods to, you know, just crazy one to like randomly jump up and attack people, like not viciously, but you know, as friendly attacks. I have teachers who absolutely hate me, and I have teachers who absolutely love me. And on the rare occasion I get one who hates me, having me in class, but eventually respects me because they find out that I am intelligent and I'm not just trying to be a smart aleck. A lot of my teachers have told me that I would do better in college than I do in high school because of my creative thinking and because of my drive to actually learn. I think my biggest fear is maybe sleeping in. Probably have to have several alarm clocks. I'm a relatively religious person. Like I'm a strong Christian. I try to do the right things, and sometimes I wonder if I'll be able to keep up my morality and everything while I'm in a situation that is in today's culture notorious for reducing morality. I probably don't fit very many of the stereotypes at all. Like, a lot of people say I don't even have a Kentucky accent, whereas other people say I have a strong Kentucky accent. Of course, it depends on where they're from. Someone who lives in maybe New York City, he's a hillbilly. When you look up someone who lives in Pike County, you know, it's like, oh my goodness, he's a city slicker. I do enjoy the outdoors. I do enjoy the fresh air, getting out camping and going like to lakes and things like that. And that's one thing that I really do enjoy a lot. And like I said, I don't like necessarily the city life, but I do like being near cities because there's a lot of resources there. There's a lot of things to learn. There's a lot of opportunities in cities. So I guess personally, I guess I see myself as small town kid, I guess.
So this is it, graduation. 13 years of homework, finals, and report cards have finally paid off. You survived the ACT, senior portfolios, and Miss Blankenship's algebra class. This is no easy feat. You've worked hard to graduate and should be proud of this accomplishment.
I pronounce you graduates of Sheldon Clark High School 2006-2007.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question, but a lesson learned in time.
Yeah.
Something unpredictable, but in the end it's right.
Hard work never hurt anyone, but I'm still not gonna risk it.
Oh, okay. Is this for me?
So take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hanging up on a shelf with good health and good time. Tattoos of memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you have the time of your life.
Just trying to get acquainted, try to unpack and clean up, move furniture around, get comfortable in the space. It's a lot different having to walk down the hall to go to the bathroom, just to have to walk down the hall to shower and carry all the stuff with you. It's a big difference.
Turn the computer on.
We took a 2-hour walk all around campus trying to figure out where everything was.
I'm just trying to walk around campus and get a feel, because I haven't really been on the campus much, and trying to just figure out where things are and the quickest way to get to places, and trying to find the parking spot.
It's just, I'm not used to city driving. We've got 2 stoplights, three stoplights in town, so, and no one-way streets.
The race is on. I wish you well. Thank you.
So have a great year. Come out and watch us play, and get after it. Go Big Blue.
Big Blue U was like amazing. I was having so much fun. Like, got my t-shirt, my pom-pom, and like we were out there on the football field and Brad called and I was like, I can't talk right now. And like, it's loud because we're all like out there having fun, and he was like, where are you? And I was like, I'm on the football field. He's like, you're on it? Because he played football in high school. He's like, you got to go on the UK football turf? And I was like, yeah.
Some people will call me antisocial. I choose more selectively social. I don't necessarily like going to the large events where there's going to be lots of people, because Where you have lots of people, you're going to have lots of annoying people, and higher percentages of them. So people who are more like me will not be at those events.
Like, I heard so many, like, freshmen and all this stuff, but then just going to Big Blue U and seeing that's only like a part of the freshman class, and just seeing all of those people, it's hard to visualize that number until you're there.
Well, Brad and I started dating after prom, and so I've been spending one day a week in Pikeville, and because he still doesn't have a car. I'm supposed to go home on Labor Day weekend to see him. There's a football game. So I'm kind of thinking about not going. But he doesn't know that yet.
I don't think it'll be too bad. My boyfriend's coming in tomorrow and he's going to show me around to my classes. 'Cause he's his second year, but he's a junior. So. I think I'm actually a sophomore now, but that hasn't been because I had AP classes. I had like 30 hours. I think I am, but my advisor hasn't gotten back to me on that, so. What AP classes did you take?
We only have 6. I took English. Is it English Lit? Yeah. And American, European histories, biology, chemistry, and Spanish.
You said 5?
6.
Mining engineering, that's true for engineering. I think the average amount of time that it takes to get a degree in engineering is about 4.7 years.
Being exposed to those kinds of things early in your career is going to put you ahead. It's just going to open doors for you.
Various categories. You may be somebody who rested on your laurels. You just said, well, you know what, I had this in high school, I really didn't study, and we kicked you in the teeth, okay? You know who you are, and you just start studying. And you start taking it seriously, and you'll be able to do okay, maybe.
Biologie, alle bitte?
Biologie.
Okay. Der Unterschied, solche Fragen und solche Fragen.
Sie studiert dann nämlich Informatik. Sie ist sehr gut in Mathematik.
You have a movement involved. Woher kommst du? And you are from Canada, and you moved to the States, for example.
If you're standing with a group and you recognize me approaching, you can call the group to attention and present the only salute for the group, if they're all at attention, right? Because you're essentially the group leader at that point.
What do you say to them?
You say, group, attention, they'll come to attention, and then whoever gave that command will present the salute. He didn't come up like this, he brought it straight up, it's hitting his eyebrow, and if he had a cover on, where would it be?
All the Army's essays and stuff are so crazy. Like, the Army values are loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. And it all seems really, like, just cliche. I hate it. And I was late for the swim test. I was the only cadet to fail. There was one civilian that failed because she couldn't swim. She was afraid of water. She wouldn't get in the water. She was scared to death. My uniform was heavy when it was wet because we had to do the swim test in this plus tennis shoes. And I guess I'm just not used to having to carry that much weight in water. So I sank. And then I couldn't get out of the pool because of the weight of the uniform. I couldn't get up out of the pool. So I had to have someone get me out, which is embarrassing.
Okay. Do you think the test was easier or harder than like these worksheets?
Definitely a lot easier.
Easier? What about like compared to like your online?
This is gonna be good for me to know.
Easier
It
to
was
be
definitely a lot
easier.
easier
Online
than
homework's even
offline.
harder
Okay.
than the worksheets. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So you've prepared as well. Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
And it's good for me. It's good that I know this going into the test in 2 hours.
That's good.
You already know it.
I know what you got. I want to make sure everybody else got it.
For what
For
the?
number one.
Okay, f prime of x multiplied by g of x plus f of x times g prime of x for the product rule.
Yes. Root of the first times the second plus root of the second times the first. Is that what I think?
Yeah. All right. So trying to get this role-playing club started here. So, heck, if all I leave behind here is that, I mean, at least I've had some sort of contribution to the university, with some sort of legacy. Just I guess just role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons and World of Darkness. All I do is look at my collection of role-playing books, and you can kind of see that I was probably up to a level of obsession. So we're gonna see what it takes to get a club started, and see if we can get that officialized. That'd be kind of a neat thing to do.
I'm gonna try to keep the same pace because in high school, like I was the smartest kid in my school, but I was in a tiny school, so I'm kind of terrified that I'm gonna get here and not do so good.
My big problem is that like my dad was our assistant principal and my mom was a teacher, so like everybody knew who I was. And like I had to really watch what I said about people or what I did because it would get back to them. And so now I'm like, nobody knows who I am. I'm just a number. So I got a 47, I think, on my math exam number 2. It was so funny because like right after I get out of the exam, I call my mom and I'm like, okay, Mom, don't hate me. I'm like, I just failed my first calculus exam. And she was like, I'm sure you didn't fail, it wasn't that bad. You always say that. And I was like, no, Mom. It's like, I failed. And she's like, well, don't say that. You don't know what your score was yet. And like 2 hours later, they're posted online. And so I call her back and I was like, Mom, I failed. I told you I failed. And she's like, calm down. What was it? And I'm like, I'm 47. And she's like, oh. She's like, well, can you get a tutor?
And our Lord God commandeth the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest eat freely. But of the tree of knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. Nevertheless, thou mayest choose for thyself, for it is given unto thee. I actually have a lot of friends who are the LDS faith, the Mormon church, and I've attended church services there, and I'll probably end up joining it. I read a parable that Jesus gave about the grower who plants a seed, and he knoweth not how the seed grows, but he leaves it to God to make it grow. I don't need to know how everything works. I don't need to know everything. I'm not going to know everything in this life. And me being, interested in science and pursuing a major in physics, I find a lot of times when it's hard to, comprehend the set of rules I learned in school and the set of rules I know to be true from my faith, and trying to see how the two work together. One night, God basically spoke. He didn't speak to me as in like a vocal, but I felt led to join the church, and that's actually been one of the biggest points with my parents because they don't fully support that. So until I'm 18, I can't really join it, but once I turn 18, I probably will. My father tends to not like that very much. He raised me in this little country church, and he doesn't see why being part of one church or another is any better or worse.
Ye are my disciples, if ye have loved one to another.
Do you want now? Back.
Cityfied. She's lost her country. She was that way before she left. The oldest one came back and she was speaking real proper. She lost the hillbilly slang, hadn't she?
Yeah.
I still ain't seen your grades.
I told you what my grades were.
Print them out. I'm from Missouri.
Missouri is so not the show me state.
Show me.
It is so not the show me state.
Yes, it is. That's what I've always heard.
I bet it's not Missouri.
It's a show me state.
Prove me wrong.
Okay. What does it say? Semester, fall.
This is the grades.
Where's her name, Rita?
My name's
Samantha Joe.
Samantha Joe Justice.
Undergraduate academic.
Record.
Can you see that, Rita? A, B, A, E. What's E?
I don't. That's my PT class. It's graded different.
A, B, A. American government.
See, 3.529.
Is that the dean's list or not?
Probably my chemistry final, actually. I was so proud of that thing. I got a 97 on it. And so I was like, well, I might have had a B and everything else, but at least I can do chemistry. But yeah, I was really afraid that I'd do really horrible in my classes because I've heard people would. But it wasn't that bad. That Brad broke up with me, that kind of surprised me. And I'm just like, I don't want to see you ever again.
I don't know. Kenny's way too picky with everything in life. She wants the perfect guy and the perfect house and job and grades. She freaked out when she got B's this semester.
I did not.
That's all you talked about for 3 weeks. Was how she could not believe she got 3 B's. Which she always complains to me about it. She's like, I hate this. Can I just quit and go home? I was like, yeah, if you want to be a Martin County kid your entire life.
We've had some conflicts about it when he first started.
I don't remember it.
Not really understanding what D&D was, and because it's demons and dragons or dragons and dungeons or whatever it is. Wasn't for sure if it was some kind of occult or something like that, but that we had some concerns on that, and I guess as we've seen him playing it and dealing with it, that if you play it in the right context, it is a game. It's not a lifestyle, as he explains it. We've come to accept that it's just something that he does. So.
Tiny.
Oh, goodness.
What's the best thing you like about college?
Freedom.
Freedom.
I don't have to let anybody know that I'm heading out of that. I'm going out of my room, gonna go to somewhere and go get something to eat. Don't have to let anybody know what time I'm gonna be back. I have that freedom.
Have you met anybody that was kind of struggling with being away from home,
No, most of them are pretty glad to get out of their homes and get away from the iron grip of their parents, however it may be.
Yeah, we got such a big tight hold on you.
At least.
So what do you think about the Wildcats this year?
They're probably out eating wild animals. Small ones.
I think he's talking about that.
He knows what I'm talking about.
What are you doing to that Chatty Bailey?
Going to paintball.
Okay, back on Bradley.
Bradley Jean.
Bradley Jean.
But yeah, he just asked me back out of nowhere. And I was just like, why not?
Why not? Okay.
Yeah, okay, so I was a little excited.
What happened to Preston? Where'd he go?
He pieced out. He went to a different school. I don't know him, but we talked about him too.
He was cool. He liked my accent, remember?
But
we had this Appalachia conversation the other day too. Who was I explaining it to? How we call you, like, well, how do you say it?
Appalachian.
But it's Appalachian.
It's Appalachian.
Appalachian Mountains. Everybody.
That
in
was
the freaking
not.
country says it like that.
Okay,
except you
okay.
guys. No, and then
On
no.
the
listen to
radio.
this.
No, stop him.
No, stop. I think this is what we weren't making fun of, but we were laughing at because we say that you guys are like Appalachian people or whatever. Like not. This sounds really bad. Okay.
You're racist, Ruby.
No, I love both of you guys.
Yeah, I'm trying to get some a research project going with one of the new professors here, Chris Crawford. Basically what we're doing is testing the field that goes around, the magnetic field that goes around a piece of aluminum foil when it has a current running through it. The hardest part about it is just that every area naturally has some magnetic field going through it because the Earth's magnetic field and any electrical appliances and things that are around. So that like at every point I have to re-zero the probe to make sure that it's not counting in other things. They have a probe. It's like basically a thing that blocks magnetic fields, and you can put the probe in it, and that way you can zero it without all the interference from out and around here. And that would be very, very handy to have. I don't want to be just a name on the sheet of paper that says this person participated in the research. I want to actually contribute. I want to actually do something productive.
I decided not to do the ROTC scholarship because with the schedule that I had to get up at like 6 every morning, and I didn't want college to be the same as high school, having to get up every morning and all of the hassle with that. And then I didn't even need the scholarship. I'll probably miss it, but I just want to go in a new direction with different things, want to try some other things. I know I like that, and I may go back to it. It's always an option. Just right now I want to branch out a little more. I want to get a tattoo. It's a Bible verse, actually, in Hebrew.
Nice. Go Santa Cyclops. Okay, cool. Let's see, special abilities. They're special. You have them. Basically, this is the aftermath of our Miskatonic meeting. It's the UK role-playing club. Miskatonic's gaming role-playing club.
You like board games, video games, card games, role-playing, where you play pretend?
My roommate actually finally, being very persistent, got in contact with with Chisa.
I was looking it up on the internet, and I think I ended up clicking on each one of the clubs, going through alphabetically.
No, he searched for role-playing club, and role-playing was like in the description or something.
I see Josh as definitely being a returner, but I like to believe that in anyone. Basically, the people who tend to be the most vocal are the ones who end up with positions just to talk the most. But he's willing to try new things out, so I'd like to see him in a position to see how he does with it. And he's just a really good supporter, and I hope to see him for many more years to come.
I can understand.
Intro to Human Biology and Health. I change my mind every other day of what I want to do. Which is fine when you're like an 8th grader. Not so good when you're in college.
How's your relationships?
They're okay. I think it's obvious. My room kind of screams that everywhere. But it wasn't so okay to talk about in high school because my parents didn't know. Your parents didn't know at that time. But now they both know, so it's okay. The rooming together thing didn't go over so well with your mom, though. Called and had her room changed. We called and had it changed back. But a lot of the older generation in Appalachia were a lot close-minded. Church, it's against the Bible. Because I can think of quite a few people that their grandparents or parents, like, were really upset.
My mom did tell me that I'd never be able to live in Pikeville.
Yeah.
She's like, you have to move to some city. You can't live here. Yeah.
Yeah, so he broke up with me again, but I can't say I didn't see it coming. I was kind of thinking the same thing. Because he was like, well, the distance is getting hard on me. And I was like, well, you know, I'm trying to get you to transfer, but, you know, you're prioritizing football over me and your career. I mean, if he's got big plans to be a famous broadcaster, and I'm sorry, but I don't know how you can be a famous broadcaster out of Pikeville unless you're a famous broadcaster in Pikeville. I deleted him from my friends list and deleted all the pictures and everything, like kind of a partial lobotomy, like forgetting he exists. My friends help a lot. Like, I don't care if they mean it or not, but they're like, you deserve so much better and all this stuff. And like, what were you doing dating a communications major at Pikeville anyway? Like, stuff like that. Oh, and he told Candace I was boring. I was like, really? Me? Boring? His life is pretty boring. My life isn't. I was like, you know, Brad, there's kind of a movie about my life. Like, it can't be that boring. Like, what does he do? Go out and drink. Hang out with your friends. Like, so, whatever. Whatever. I'm not the one living in Pikeville, he is.
Right now it's terrible because I have that final left. I have to get an A on it for the scholarship requirements. I have to get an A in that class.
Like, okay, it's so stupid. Like, in communications, I have an A, but it's barely an A. And then I got a B on my last essay. So, I'm gonna have to actually, like, study for this test in there.
I was a little bit stressed last night and this morning when I was thinking about this test, but sort of curious as to see what's going to happen.
This is a good one, Nikki. Don't forget, many loose women are pregnant.
Katie, really, that's horrible.
No, it isn't.
That's disgusting, actually. Hey.
Welcome.
She's a genius. Katie, you are a whiz kid, I'm not gonna lie.
I think I did really well on the final, so hopefully that's gonna be an A. Wow, I actually know what I'm doing. Like, I'm doing something wrong. I'm just glad I've made it.
Yeah, it just hit me just like today when I got back from that final. I was like, hey, I'm done with school.
Awesome. I'm just gonna relax and take a nice long bath.
What surprised me the most?
Most memorable?
I don't know, this year seems like it's gone by so fast. Feels like I just moved in a few days ago.
I think I've gotten a lot more mature. Like, I know how to handle myself. I used to think that if you were outgoing, it meant that, like, you can say anything you wanted to, I guess. And so I think I've learned to hold my tongue on some things.
No more school for at least 2.5 years because I'm going to be going on a mission trip for my church. It's interesting because, you know, I've been in school since I was in kindergarten. So, yeah, this is a big change.
I'm not really sure if my experience is very different. Maybe because they're from more urban area, even though Lexington's not a huge city. It's a big step up from Pikeville. More going on, a lot more fast-paced, different lifestyle.
I've realized that Lexington isn't in like Timbuktu, and it's not really that big of a deal to leave your high school friends. And like, you make new friends, and it's actually a little more fun if you just hang out with them once a month than every weekend.
I've met a lot of people with different opinions, because in Eastern Kentucky, you know, there's always varied opinions, but especially on like mountaintop removal and coming to Lexington, and then people see it as just like killing the environment, and it's not worth the positive things from it. And really, like, I accept that that's their viewpoint, but I still hold it's my area, like, it's our lifestyle. If it wasn't for the coal mines in Eastern Kentucky, there'd probably be nothing there. People see it so negative, see the people there as just uneducated. They don't realize that these coal companies are taking their land and destroying it and stuff, and I'm like, we may not have these college educations. You know, my parents and stuff, they didn't have that opportunity to get that education, but they're not stupid. They still have the sense about them. They still work, and they realize that, you know, the coal companies are there and stuff.
And it was kind of surprising that my classes were, like, not easy, but that I was actually capable of getting A's in them.
My mom, you know, she says that she doesn't want me to go because of school, but I'm not that bad concerned about it, because sort of like you gotta think of like my priorities. And while education is very important, and you know, it's definitely kind of a good thing to do, doing God's work is much more important.
I feel like at another school I would have been more academically prepared, and maybe if I lived in a bigger city I would have been more socially prepared. But just because I went to Sheldon Clark doesn't mean that I can't graduate from UK, but I think it does mean that I have to go through a lot more changes than people from like Paul Laurence Dunbar or Manual and schools like that.
I don't think I'll stay in Lexington. I don't think I'll go back to Pikeville. Don't plan on living in one place for a long time anyways. I want to travel a lot and live a lot of different places, and so because I can't make up my mind where I want to live, so I just decided I'll live in all of them at one point, which will also change when I realize that that's not possible.
The purpose of universities, like the University of Kentucky, is to create, homeless, placeless academics, right? To create people who don't belong to a place, whose primary community or allegiance is to a discipline or even a sub-discipline, one small area of a discipline, some small area of expertise. People who are so interested in that sort of mind-body dualism, so interested in the ideas and the life of the mind and that particular topic that they're willing to go anywhere in the world to study it and live anywhere, and they're willing to sacrifice, they're displaced people. Intellectuals are displaced.
Well, at the turn of the century, John Fox Jr., the great Kentucky writer, was referred to Lexington as the Athens of the West. Well, I went down to the Athens of the West, and I met some great people at the University of Kentucky who, first of all, they told me about an East Kentucky trap, an Eastern Kentucky trap at UK at that time, where we were almost seen as Eastern Kentucky, our hillbillies, were almost seen as a group that was not accepted by the rest of the university. But I met people like, who is still down there, Gurney Norman, a great Kentucky author, who we talked about the Eastern Kentucky Trap. I met people like Gerald Alvey, a folklore teacher at the university, Ed McClanahan, and James Baker Hall, and all these great writers who accepted you for what you were, and they taught us, the people from rural areas, that we had a story to tell too, and our story was just as important as anyone else's. And that's the good part, the really good education that I got from the University of Kentucky.